Hi everybody, welcome back to NarcShield. My name is Jennifer, and tonight I'm going to talk about dating. And a lot of it is going to be about online dating, but, dating period. And so I've talked about it a couple of times before, but it is something that comes up so often, especially during the pandemic. And so I decided that I needed to talk about it again, and I probably will talk about it again and again and again and again. So welcome back. I have had a breakaway for the holidays. I hope all of you have had a nice holiday, narc free, and just had some relaxing time and didn't stress out too much. I hope that you will subscribe to my channel, and I am not a psychologist or a psychiatrist, which you'll be able to tell when you are watching my videos, but I have been through narcissistic abuse. I do understand it to some degree, and I'm just like you, every day just trying to get through and trying to keep the right people in my life and keep the wrong people away from me. So that kind of rolls right into talking about dating. And today, the way a lot of people are meeting each other is through online dating. And I have my pad in front of me so I can see that I'm getting some kind of messages here. But so online dating, and online dating can be frustrating, it can be overwhelming, and it can be scary. You need to be careful when you are online. But I went walking with my neighbor earlier today, and we were discussing just safety, period. And we were talking about like our addresses and stuff like that. And I was like, when you go to a store and they're sitting there and they're like, what's your phone number? What's your address? Your name and your address. I don't like it when they ask me that, and I don't want to give it to them. They want me to say it out loud, and I don't know who's standing behind me, who's listening. And so I think that's the oddest thing that they do that. I mean, it's better when they have you like punch it in if you want to, but to ask, and maybe I'm just paranoid, but I've been through a lot of things in my time. So I always feel so uncomfortable when they're doing that, and so unsafe. And I'm blown away by how people just get so desensitized to things and don't even think about it. They do not think about the safety stuff. It's so rare. I've done plenty of things that, I look back on and I'm like, oh, wow, that wasn't really safe. I can't believe I did that. But we try to learn from things. And so this video is to talk about some of those things, and just to talk about dating, period. Online, people can be whoever they want to be. And I've talked about this in other videos. They can say whatever they want. And so when it is important to have a good profile, because you don't want to waste your time. And so, I know, let me back up a little bit, because every now and again I'll go and I'll sign on to to a dating site, and I don't know why I do it. Every single time I do it, I'm like, what the heck was I thinking? One, I always do it when I'm super busy, and I'm like, that just wasn't very smart. But a lot of it's just to see who's out there, what people say, what their profiles look like. And I am kind of curious to who's out there for, at some point I will want to date. But I wanted to talk about that a little bit. So I wanted to go ahead and let you know that it wasn't that long ago. I signed on and I went to one of the bigger ones. I did pay to go on. I have done it before in the past. I have done videos before about it, or podcasts. And I tried to be upfront about, what type of person I actually was looking for and who I really am and everything. And I will say that this time there was a couple of people that were interesting. And unfortunately, I lost their numbers. So I'm the worst. I didn't give them mine, but I lost theirs, and I had put it into my messages or whatever, and I swiped it out, and then I was like, oh man, that's gone. So I'm not getting back onto Match and trying to do that anyway. It's a pandemic, and I'm not trying to date during a pandemic anyway. But online, people can be whoever they want. So they can read your profile and then just mirror that and tell you that they like the same music that you do, the same restaurants that you do. They may say that they were brought up the same way that you are and they want the same things. I can't tell you. I mean, I've dated people like that before, and I can tell. I'm like, well, you just said that you would never do this. But then when I say that's a deal breaker for me, you get the backpedaling a little bit. And it's like, no, that's who you are. It's okay. It just means that we're not a match. And why on earth waste your time with someone that down the road isn't going to be a match for you? And believe me, I've wasted tons of time doing that in my past. I'd rather just be friends. You can still be friends with people and not date them, and just know, hey, look, we're grown adults. We know that we maybe don't have the same values, don't have the same morals, don't, many things that just don't line up, and big things, small things you can maybe work through. But when they're really big things like religion and, whether you're working, I don't want to be the one that's just working and paying for everything. Do you want kids? So I've talked about this before, but people, especially bad people, can come in and just mirror exactly what it is that you want. And you think that you've met your knight in shining armor or your princess that's coming in, and they're going to save the day and make you feel better. So it's really important for people to know themselves, know exactly who it is that they're looking for, or at least have an idea of the type of partner that they're looking for, and not to change that just because it makes you feel good in the moment. You're going to waste your time and everybody else's time, because down the line, those big things will creep up. And it's not fair to anybody to sit there and pretend like you're somebody that you're not, just because you don't want to be alone. And if you're somebody who doesn't like to be alone, there's a problem right there. You have to get right with yourself before you will ever have a healthy relationship with anyone else. It is so important. It's okay to be on your own and be by yourself. Enjoy your family. Do things with your family that you haven't been doing. Hang out with your friends. Read some books. Go to school and do some things that you said you wanted to do, but you never did. Do some things for you and get right with you, and then you will know what is it that makes you really happy and comfortable in life. What is it that you really want to do? What type of partner do you really want? What things are important to you and not that important to you? And the only time that you're ever going to figure that out is if you're alone and you actually spend time figuring that out and doing things that you really love. Sometimes you're going to be on your own and it's going to be kind of boring, but that's okay. It's okay to be in that space and figure it out. And some people really don't feel comfortable with that. And that's a problem, because then you are going into a relationship expecting somebody to be your savior and to make you happy all the time. And then if they leave, you fall to pieces, or if they're not doing everything that you want. London? Sorry, my dog. I have a new puppy and I heard some chewing or something. Did you hear that? So you put too much pressure on the other person to make you happy. And when you're not happy, they're going to know it. They're going to feel the vibe. They're going to see it. You're going to resent. It becomes a bad thing. The foundation isn't good. Another thing that people do is they rush right in. And so now narcissistic people, sociopaths, psychopaths, they're going to want to rush immediately into a relationship. So what's going to happen is they're going to see your profile. And this is something that I might have to do 2 videos on this. So this is something that I notice on the dating sites. And first of all, I don't know what it's like on the men's side. I almost feel like being fake and doing a fake profile of a man just to see what happens, which is terrible, but which is so fake. But just to see how it flutters, how many people come in. And if it's the same as it is for women. Or maybe I should just see if there's a friend of mine who has an account. But for women, I know it's like a flood of people. And I noticed that, I mean, there's so many messages that you're trying to just like read them all, but there's so many. I mean, there's so many that you're just like, oh my gosh, I don't even have time for. You could spend it's another job. And it's like, oh my gosh, I don't have time for all that. And so you'll go and you'll finally get to like some of the messages, and it'll be like, yeah, thanks for not responding. And, you know, some nasty message or whatever. And you're like, well, you didn't even give me time. And that's a red flag. It's like, whoa, you are already angry. And that's their problem. That's their ego. And that's narcissistic. I mean, if you're having a narcissistic injury, that so shows it when someone is so bent out of shape because they haven't heard from you and you don't even know this person and they're already throwing attitude. But again, people behind the computer can pretend or even act like whatever they want to because they don't know you. But if they're disrespectful, right out the gate, I wouldn't want to, that's a complete delete anyway. Also, another thing that I noticed on these dating sites, and this is off the narcissistic stuff, but the profiles, some of them look like they just, you know, are fresh out of prison and they still have the jumpsuit on. It's the craziest thing. You women know what I'm talking about. And it's like, why would you, is that fake? Like, what's going on with that? So men, this is to the men. If you are serious about looking for your lifelong partner, please take the time on your profile. One, to put pictures of yourself that are recent and be authentic and put different types of pictures to show what your interests are. And also be authentic about what it is that you like. And don't try so hard. Don't try to dress it up so much and put in fancy words. Be who you really are. Because what's going to happen is you might get that date, but your date might see right through you if you're being fake. Some women, it might take a little bit longer than others. I know I've heard a couple of stories recently where people have gotten online, and it's because the stories, they don't want to be alone. And then they get in these relationships, and the next thing you know, the person's basically living there or coming and going as they please, eating out of your refrigerator, eating your food, having you spend the money on them, ordering you around. They're doing all these things, but at first they were like really good just to get in. And then the next thing you know, you start seeing these bad things. It's because as soon as they think they have you right where they want you, they change. And narcissistic people, they have other narcissistic supply on the side. And so you are not the only one. When they say, oh, I've got to be away for a few days. And you're like, at first you might, you know, be like, oh yeah, okay. But then it's all the time. And you're like, where are they? I'm not able to get a hold of them, or they're not answering my text. But in the beginning they did. They're probably with someone else. And time again, I hear I find out from women or men that that's exactly what was going on. And I'm like, I'm so sorry, because that's so hurtful, because they really thought that they had met the one. Listen, if the one is acting like the one right out the gate and they're rushing things like on these sites, first of all, guys, I'm speaking to the guys because, well, I guess it can be both ways, okay? But I'm the girl, so I say speaking to the guys, but this can go both ways. The whole point of online is to try to chat and get to know each other to see whether you even want to meet on a date. Because there's a lot of questions that you can ask to see if you even are compatible before you meet. Yes, chemistry is important, but the other things are important too. And I find, and there's a safety thing that goes around with that as well. And I find these guys, a lot of guys anyway, not all of them. There was a couple of really nice guys, and I hate that I actually deleted their numbers, because I was actually thinking that I might get a hold of them. Actually, I was going to get a hold of them. But anyway, but they were rushing. They really wanted to get to know who I was before meeting me, because for all they know, I could be some psycho too, stalker person. And so I could tell that they were healthier. But here's the thing. You'll text a couple of times, and this is what it will be. So let's just get down to the nitty gritty. I don't really like to text. So, I mean, I feel like that's a waste of time. Let's just go ahead and meet and see if we have any chemistry. That's a red flag for me. That's a major red flag. The whole point is I don't even know if I want to meet you yet. And that just totally let me know I don't want to meet you. Because that's what they want. They're not even considering me and what might make me comfortable. So they're only doing what they're trying to convince me to do what makes them comfortable. And I can see that they don't even think about what would be important to me. I can understand wanting to meet and go ahead and see, the person, and, but here you could do videos. There's a lot of different ways to do that without going out to dinner and meeting for a drink right away. And let me tell you, I have been on the dating sites before, and I have gone on a few of those dates. And there's been a couple of times, I did a whole, I think it was a podcast. I don't know if I did a video, but I definitely did a podcast on the guy who I was like, I'm not going to kiss you. It's the first date. We just met. And I was thinking, he was so over the top. He was so hammering down drinks, and then just grabbed me and like forced himself on me as a kiss or whatever. And I'm like pulling away. What a boundary breaker. I knew I never wanted to see this guy again. I was like, I've got to get out of here. Everybody was feeling sorry for me. They could tell I was completely uncomfortable. This person could have cared less. I don't even think that they noticed I was uncomfortable because they didn't care. They only cared about what they wanted. And so, you know what? So the questions are, so many people will say, well, I don't understand why I haven't met my person. I'm online. I've gone out on so many dates. Well, are you good with you? Are you happy with yourself, where you don't need somebody else to fulfill all your needs and make you happy? Because that will come across to someone, especially if you are rushing things. Okay, so let me look here. One of my friends said this. They were like, what are dates and how do they work? I know this person. They're a really nice person. And this person is really busy and has a lot going on in their lives. And we've had conversations before. And one of the things that comes up sometimes, this person and other people, they'll be like, I have a child or have kids. Nobody's wanting to date me because I'm like so busy. Yes, they will. Yes, the right person will. There are other people, they may have children themselves in the same exact situation. You just haven't met the right person, and maybe closing the door to meeting the right person. It takes time. And, I have been in relationships in my past, it seems like all my relationships that were not the healthiest were pretty fast and furious. So I've learned, hey, I needed to get right with me. Hey, I needed to spend some time on my own. Hey, I actually need to figure out what it is that I like to do. I've talked about that before. And on my blog site and the podcast and maybe on here, I've just talked about for so long, I was just trying to make other people happy, and I was doing what made them happy, and I was ignoring my own needs. And so I've taken the last couple of years to really spend time on my own and figure out what it is that I like to do and what I like and what kind of partner I really want to be with in my future. And I think I pretty much know, so I wouldn't want to waste someone's time. So what are dates? Well, dates can be with your friends too, and how do they work? Well, you ask somebody out or you just try to get to know them. Right now, I don't know about going out in a pandemic because, you could spread COVID, but you could FaceTime. You can, I was talking to somebody and I was like, one of my friends, if they see this, they're going to know I'm talking about them, but I always thought this was kind of cute, and I've seen other people do this, where you pick a certain restaurant, you like the food, so you both go and you get that food, and then you get on Zoom or FaceTime or whatever, and you're eating that food, and then you are having a date. Yeah, it's not the physical touch part, but you know, right now you don't want to be doing that with strangers anyway. But you're getting to know each other, and you're still sharing a meal together. And I think it's kind of romantic too, and it's creative, and it just shows somebody cares to spend that time with you, even though they may want to meet you in person, but you may not feel comfortable doing that, but they still want to get to know you. They're not going to just, oh, well, you know what, if they're not going to see me in person. That's kind of judgy too. So a lot of people miss out on good people when they get too judgy there. And so there you go. You can actually date and do it online like this for now. And so if you're interested in somebody, you never know unless you ask them. And if they're not interested, you know, or they're not in the, sometimes it's not even that somebody's not interested. It's just that they're in a time in their life where they're too busy and they don't want to be rude and not spend time with you and make you feel like it's you. And so they tell you. And then there are people that literally don't want to understand that. I've actually been that person before, but you know, when someone says, look, my life is kind of crazy right now. I've got a lot going on in my life and I don't have time to bring somebody else into all of that craziness. You know, and if you're single, when things kind of settle down and you still want to go out with me, then maybe, but accept that and don't take it so personal. Some people get really mad about that too. That's a red flag for me. And it should be a red flag if I did that to somebody. And believe me, I have done that before. I can actually think of somebody right out the top of my head. I regret it so bad because I really cared about that person. And then somebody else wrote, you mean people date now? Yes, they do. They are all going out, not all of them, but a lot of people are doing, like I just said, you know, meeting this, or they're just chatting through the dating sites and they're just chatting. And then some are meeting up. Some people, they go in, what is my dog doing? She's playing. They hook up on the first date. Okay, first of all, that is, listen, I watched a couple of documentaries too on this. Women, men too, but don't just give anybody your address and let them know where you live. I don't care how fine they are. Fine. I don't care how fine they are. Do not just, oh, well, he seemed like a really nice guy and he was really hot and I just wanted to get up with him. No, that is so dangerous. You don't know. This person could be a psycho for all you know, and you're allowing them into your home and they could hurt you. And there's been some cases here in North Carolina, and I've watched some other documentaries where that has actually happened. And you don't know. They could beat you, take everything that you have in your house. And I'm sorry to sound scary, but this is the reality. And it's a reality that people don't want to look at because a lot of people don't want to be alone. But don't do that, and respect yourself enough not to bring somebody right away home. And men, if you are just looking to hook up, I mean, okay, we'll definitely say that on your profile, and women the same. But if you're looking for somebody long term, I wouldn't be expecting to have sex with somebody right out the gate. And I can tell you that plenty of my guy friends have told me in the past that if a woman slept with them on the first date, they didn't, now this isn't everybody, but I have heard this, that they didn't respect them and wondered who else they had been sleeping with and how many, and if they had any diseases and things like that, and kind of worried about it, and then did not, and were like, this is not the type of woman that I would like to marry. So, and I would think that about a guy too. So, now, if you just are looking for a hookup, there you go. But say it, mean it, be like that, and don't be trying to pretend that you are wanting a long-term relationship with someone when really all you want to do is get in the sack with them. But when people are online, before they even meet, they can find out whether they have the same values, whether they have. There's a lot you can find out and tell about a person, and you can tell within quite a few conversations. Red flags can come up, and so don't ignore the red flags. And so here we go. Okay. This is going away. Don't go away. It says maybe how to know when to give up and when interest is not mutual. To give up when, oh, sorry, I'm sorry. It says maybe how to know when to give up when interest is not mutual or too one-sided. Immediately. If some people just aren't ready, they're not interested, or they just like you as a friend, and you need to be honest about that. I mean, I have plenty of guy friends that I absolutely adore as friends, and there are many qualities about them that I think are wonderful, but there may be things that just don't work out with what I'm looking for. I know that sounds really bad, but you just have to tell somebody. You just have to be honest and be like, look, I love you to death as a friend, but you don't have to hurt somebody's feelings, but you may not have the chemistry. They might not do the same things that you like, or they do things that, somebody was telling me one time, I was like, I know what it was. It was something that they did a lot of. It was their passion in life. I mean, they did it every single day, year after, they were doing it all the time. And I was like, I don't do that. And I feel like I might not be the right person for you, because it was something that they did that took a lot of time and hours and hours a day. And I was like, they were like, well, I don't have to do that all the time. I could do something, but I had looked at their history. Like, I looked at their Facebook, and this had been going on for 10, 15 years. It was their passion. I was like, no, don't say that you would ever give up something that you love, or my dog. Don't do that. That is what you love. Stick to that. So the person wanted to go out with me, but in the long run, it wouldn't have worked out because we didn't enjoy the same hobbies and things. And granted, you should have things that you like that are different than your partner, but this was a big one. It was something that was hours and hours and hours of a day. And it was a completely different lifestyle. And I was surprised that this person was just willing to say, oh yeah, it was no big deal to them. And I was like, that was a red flag, because I could see that it was a huge deal. So, sometimes, it's just not a match. And some people don't want to hurt people's feelings, and it can drag on and on and on. But the reality of it is, sometimes people just want to be your friend. And if you can tell that there's no interest, or somebody has said that, or you keep trying, it could be that eventually you mess up the friendship too. And so it's probably just better to walk away. I know that's hard, especially if you really, it's hard for me. I've been in relationships before where I was already in a relationship, and it was serious. And then something happened, and it was hard for me to walk away from it. But in the beginning, for sure, and even later, you might just have to walk away. And it's not nice to make up reasons either and give somebody hope for down the road if there is no hope. And that has happened to me. And I think that's really rude. Don't give somebody hope and make them feel like you really care about them and want to be with them if you really don't. Just be friends and go and find your one, your person. And are you ready? Are you ready to find your one? Have you spent the time on your own? Literally, people will say, oh no, I've been single for a really long time, but they stayed completely busy. They had to be doing something all the time. I'm like, oh my gosh, you're out every single night of the week. Or always on the phone with somebody. I always have to have somebody over. I'm like, you still are looking for people to keep you from feeling lonely because you're uncomfortable being on your own. You need to be right with you first. And a lot of people don't recognize that. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be in a relationship with someone. I've been single probably more than I've been in relationships, but I know, I just saw one of my old boyfriends post something a minute ago, but and he can tell you from eons ago, how funny I am about dating. And he was actually a really good friend of mine, and he still is. And that, I love that when people can still be friends, you know, it's nice. You should be able to still be friends with people. If you are someone who is jealous all the time, or, you know, those things can, those are issues within inside you that you have to work out. You know what I mean? Like, you can be cordial to people that you've dated before. And if people tell you that you can't and they're trying to control you, I mean, it's one thing. You don't want to be like hanging out all the time and that kind of thing. But you should still be able to and live your life like normal. And some people, I've looked back on people that I've dated in my past, and I think, you know, what I was going to say is that person knows how I am about what's important to me. Like, that person knew my family was really important to me. And we just really, that person really did respect me. And the reason that we've stayed friends, I mean, this person lives in a completely different state or whatever, and moved, you know, I think it was for work. I don't know, a long time ago. But there's some people that they don't, all they care about is what's going on in their life. And when you're getting in a relationship with someone, you want to find a partner. And so I've been in long-term relationships. I've had some really long-term relationships, and I think the ones that didn't work out or whatever, we weren't mature, and we needed to have some work. We need to work on ourselves, you know what I mean? And then learn. And then maybe if we would have been like that in the first place, it would have worked out. But you could just be meeting someone who just isn't ready for you, or you're not meeting the right person for you. And this is a gentleman. He's a really good looking guy too. Really nice guy that wrote that. And believe me, I'm surprised that you're having a hard time. So I don't know. I would have to hear more about your situations, but you're a really nice guy and good looking. And, but you know, with a pandemic, so many people are feeling lonely and stuff like that right now. And I get it. And, you know, it's gone on a lot longer than, you know, most people think. But here's the thing. You also don't want to get in a relationship with someone just because of the pandemic. You know what I mean? And then you're hanging out and everything feels great because that's your one person during the pandemic. But then when everything lifts, what's going to happen then? Are you going to stay with that person, or are you going to go back out and start meeting all kinds of other people? This is really long. I don't know if this is, I might need to end this because it's so long. But the main thing is be safe. Don't be going online, giving all your information out, and don't be jumping right in and doing 18 dates, you know, giving people your information, letting them know where you live. You know, the next thing you know, they're showing up on your doorstep all the time, leaving stuff on your door. Get to know somebody, then maybe go into all of that, and then still keep looking for the red flags. It takes 3 to 6 months to really get to know somebody and see all of the real side of them. And you know what? Take your time. But the most important relationship that you need to have is with yourself. So self-reflecting, spending time on your own, figuring out why things didn't work out with past relationships, figuring out what role you had in that. I know that I cannot sit and blame all of my relationships on them and that they were the only reason those relationships didn't work out. Believe me, I've had to do some serious self-reflection and be like, oh gosh, I just didn't handle that well or whatever, and figure out, what was going on with inside of me and get me right. And so I've done that for the last couple of years, and I've enjoyed myself. And I know that by the time I meet the right guy, it's just going to click. I just know it, but it's going to take time. He's not going to just jump right on into my life, and the next thing you know, I'm engaged. So I don't even know if I want to do that. So I don't even know. But anyway, so I hope that this helps a little bit. I'm going to have to end it. I will probably do more on the dating thing. If I get more questions about it, then I definitely will. Until next time, this is Jennifer. I hope you will like, share, and subscribe. Stay away from the narcissistic people. They want to suck the life out of you. They're like vampires, and they drain you of all your good-hearted, spirited self. And you need to have that energy to feel good and go out in the world and do great things for yourself and other people. You don't need to have somebody sucking you dry and keeping you stuck, at home and just doing everything for them, or in the office or whatever. There's all different types of narcissists out there. Keep yourself safe. Until next time. Bye.